Hello, families. Welcome to our family workshop on zones of regulation. I know a lot of you had children coming home last week talking about their lovely discovery day that they did on their first day back from Christmas, talking about the green zone, the blue zone, yellow zone, red zone, and all these kind of things. And I'm sure you thought, what on earth is going on? We haven't forgotten you. So here is our presentation explaining to you what the children have learned with a few tips about what you could do at home if you want to incorporate this into your home parenting strategy. So bear with me as I explain it to you in a very simple, quick kind of way. And then if you've got any more questions, you can email me, you can call in. I'm happy to help in any way if you want to engage with this. So zones of regulation. What is zones of regulation? So before I explain that, it's important for you to know what self-regulation is. So self-regulation is the ability to manage your own energy states, your emotions, behaviors, and attention in ways that are socially acceptable. And it helps to achieve positive goals, such as maintaining good relationships, learning, and maintaining well-being. This is obviously something that we want for our children as parents and families, and also as educators. So the zones of regulation is a curriculum designed to foster self-regulation and emotional control in children. It's developed for all children and accessible to all children, but particularly good for those with autism or ADHD. And lots of research has gone into this with them. But in school, it's something we use as a whole class strategy to be more inclusive to everybody. So a whole school strategy, sorry. So from nursery all the way up to year 6, and even our teachers, we've got posters on the doors. We're all using the zones of regulation. It's been really positive for us. So the zones of regulation teaches children to identify their feelings and levels of alertness, to identify the feelings in others. It teaches them effective regulation tools, problem solving skills, how their behavior affects the thoughts and feelings of others, and ultimately independent regulation skills, which is what we want for our children. We want them to be independent, happy learners. And if they can regulate themselves when they're not feeling alert, when they're experiencing strong emotions, then that's a real step to them being able to be independent. Why is it important? Challenging behaviour is often not the child's fault or choice. I know as a parent myself, sometimes it feels like your child is behaving that way purely to irritate you. And even as someone who works with behaviour, I am no stranger to that feeling. But some children do just struggle through either age, through the fact that they're slightly behind on their personal, social, and emotional regulations skills, or through special educational needs. Some children are delayed in being able to regulate themselves in a certain way. It could also be personality. Some children may just be type A, a bit like me, in which case they feel strong emotions really quickly and they don't really know how to manage them. So we have to remember that behavior communicates something. Your child's behavior is trying to tell you that something is wrong. And often challenging behavior like swearing, shouting, kicking, tantrums, things like that are not the child's fault or choice. It means that they're experiencing a strong emotion that they don't know what to do with. They don't know how to handle it. And the emotion is winning. The emotion is taking over their bodies and they're now not in full control of what they're doing. And the zones of regulation helps children and parents, families, and teachers to understand this. Children who can self-regulate will turn into teenagers that can self-regulate and adults that can self-regulate. Imagine how beautiful the world will be if we have all of the adults in society being able to control their own emotions. How wonderful would society look? So we're starting that here in the Langley Academy Primary with the children that we've got, aiming to make the world a better place, one child at a time. We also know that higher academic achievement is possible for those who can self-regulate. So self-regulation has correlations with high academic achievement because they're not, it's quite clear, because they're not going to let the strong emotions get in the way. They're going to be able to bring themselves back down to the green zone, which we'll talk about later, attend to the learning, listen to their teachers, listen to their parents, whoever it is that they need to listen to. And that will mean that they're able to receive that information. As we know, when we're too angry, too stressed, when we're feeling out of control, things happen in our brain, which means we're not actually able to receive information that people are giving to us. So if the children are able to self-regulate on their own, they will be able to receive that information. So how does it work? So these are the zones. This is the zones of regulation poster, which you can get in the zones of regulation book. I think I'm allowed to give it to you guys. So if you need it, you can ask me for it and I can send it home. So the zones of regulation poster shows the 4 zones. So we've got the blue zone, which is when your body is moving slowly or sluggish, and it can incorporate emotions like being sad, sick, tired, bored. We're generally moving a bit slowly. We're not too happy, and we're not really ready to learn or ready to receive information when we're in that zone. We then have the green zone. The green zone is good to go. So the green zone is a good zone. It's where you want to stay. Not good zone, sorry. It's where you want to stay. It's where you're feeling positive, where you're feeling relaxed, focused, calm. This is where we want our children to be a majority of the time, especially in learning behaviors. The green zone is the most appropriate place to be. Then we have the yellow zone. So in the yellow zone, we're slightly more alert. We've lost a bit of control. And it might be when we're frustrated, worried, silly, or excited. That's when we're starting to lose control a little bit, and we need to exercise a bit of caution here. And then we've got the red zone where we've lost control. We're out of control. And that may be because you're mad and angry. It might be because you're absolutely terrified, because you're ecstatic or devastated. Some really strong emotions. So if you look at the 4 pictures that we've got on the side, you can see the blue zone is kind of the rectangle shape, and that one is kind of the rest area for taking it slow, having a bit of a rest, getting yourself back to the green zone. The green zone is a circle. It's good to go. That's what that means. We've got the yellow zone in that diamond shape, which means exercise caution. You need to exercise some caution here because you've got potential to go the wrong way. So you might want to come back down to green instead of going out to red. And then we've got the red zone, which you need to stop. Generally in the red zone, if you're in the red zone in school, there's very rarely going to be an appropriate time for you to be in the red zone at school, in which case you need to stop. You need to have a think, use the zones of regulation tools to get yourself back down to yellow, back down to green, so you can be good to go, ready, focused to learn, focused to go out, whatever you might be doing as families at home. The important thing to remember is there is no bad zone. That's why I corrected myself when I said good for green before. There is no bad zone. There is an appropriate time to be in every single zone. So we've got blue zone, which is when you're sad, sick, tired, your brain or body is moving slowly or sluggishly. So I want you to have a think about bedtime. You're reading a story to your lovely child in bed. You don't want them to be in the yellow zone. You don't want them to be in the green zone because it's not appropriate for the environment that they're in. And that's something we've been talking to the children about what emotions or what zones are appropriate for the different environments. So it's not that any emotions are bad. Actually, we all experience every single emotion. Everybody does. But it's knowing that where it's appropriate for that emotion or zone to be. So in the blue zone, we're moving a bit slowly, a bit sluggishly. We've got a kind of low state of arousal there. That is what we'd expect at bedtime. When we're reading a story to our child in bed, or our children in bed, we want them to be moving slowly. We want it to be sluggishly because we've got to go to sleep now. So we don't want them bouncing off the walls. We don't want them raring, ready to go. Anyone who knows me knows my child hates bedtime. And that is actually the time where he chooses to be in the yellow or green zone. He's got all this energy. He needs to get out of bed. He needs it to be breakfast time. And I really need him to be in the blue zone, ready to sleep so I can get on with my evening and then get him up in the next morning. So it would be appropriate to be in the blue zone in bedtime. The green zone is generally where we want to be. It means you're in control, calm, happy, ready to learn. You're in a regulated state of alertness. So that's appropriate for learning, appropriate when you go out with your children, and just through a range of areas really, because you're just generally happy and focused and ready to learn. The yellow zone is for the more intense emotions, as you see here, but you're still able to maintain some control. So you're in a heightened state of alertness, but you're not too far gone that you need someone to come and help you to calm yourself down. So the yellow zone can be if you're worried, frustrated, sometimes just feeling a bit silly, maybe you're really excited because it's your birthday. So we've lost a bit of control here. And it's where we need to exercise caution, go a bit slower and try and bring yourself back to the green zone if that's appropriate for the environment you're in. So the yellow zone is appropriate in times like basketball. We are going to need a heightened state of alertness in basketball, otherwise you're going to be a really rubbish player, aren't you? So there are some times where it is appropriate to be in the yellow zone. And then we've got the red zone where we're generally where you've got a heightened state of alertness and you might be out of control. So it might be if you're elated, angry, wild, terrified. If you think about a proposal, someone's proposed to you, you are going to be elated. You are going to scream and shout, and you're not going to care who's around. And it is appropriate for a proposal. We don't mock anyone for screaming or crying uncontrollably when they've been proposed to, because we expect something like that. So in the environment, it is perfectly okay. Thinking about some bad things that might be able to happen, some negative situations that we obviously don't want to happen, but someone is going to harm our child, for example. We want our children to be in the red zone, kick, scream, lose control, do everything possible to alert the people around you that you are in danger. It would be perfectly appropriate for your child to be in the red zone at that time. So I hope you understand here there is no bad zone, and the children shouldn't be made to feel bad for being in any zone, but they should be redirected to actually what do you think is appropriate for where we are now. So it's not that your behavior is bad, it's not that your behavior is wrong. Actually, at a different time, it would be appropriate, but right now it's not. And that's the sort of language we want to be using with the children. Another bit of important language to know is expected versus unexpected behaviours, and this is something that we've spoken to children about, something that's part of the zones of regulation curriculum. So expected behaviours give people good thoughts about you. It makes people feel nice about you. They get a kind of warm feeling inside. For example, when children are running around, screaming in the playground, we don't have a problem with that. It is perfectly acceptable for you to be in the yellow zone in the playground while you're playing with your friends. You've got heightened state of alertness, you're having fun, you're enjoying yourself, having a great time. That would be acceptable for us. Expected behaviors, if I want to give my child a hug, I expect them to give me a hug back. I like that. That's an expected behavior. You're in the green zone. We're acting appropriately to the environment. At the bottom here, we've got some pictures, and you can see a child sleeping on the desk there, a child pushing their food away. These are unexpected behaviors. When you spend your hour or so cooking meals for your child in the kitchen, you don't expect to put it on the table and for them to push it away. Unexpected behaviors make people feel uncomfortable or nervous, and this is when you might get a reaction that you didn't want, or a reaction that you generally don't like, but it's because your behavior has been unexpected and you've made the other people around you feel uncomfortable, nervous, and they're not thinking good thoughts about you anymore because you've made an unexpected behavior. Now, it's not permanent. It can change. You can rectify your behavior, do some unexpected, and give us some expected behaviors. You can use the tools from zones of regulation to help you come back to the green zone so that you can regulate yourself and show expected behaviors, which will make those around you think positively of you and experience positive emotions towards you. So these are the things we've spoken to our children about. We don't want to see any children sleeping on the desk. That would be an unexpected behavior. It links in very well with our behavior strategy, because we can use that language with children often. And I'm sure you know, as families, when you tell children they're doing the wrong thing, it's all, oh, you just don't like me, or you think that I'm doing the wrong thing all the time. You say, it's not that. What behavior do you think I expect of you? We're in a lesson. What do I expect you to be doing with your head, with your hands, with your eyes? And the children are able to tell us that. So then when we say to them, were you showing me expected or unexpected behavior? It helps them to realize why they got the response that they did. It helps them to realize why they've made it to amber or red on our traffic light system. It helps them to understand why, as families, you've put them in timeout or on the naughty step or whatever it is that you use at home. So using that language of expected and unexpected behaviors helps children make the link between their behavior, their emotions, and other people's behavior and emotions. That's important for them to know, to be able to self-regulate and know what is appropriate and where it is appropriate. So the zone tools then. So the zone tools are a collection of calming or alerting strategies that we can use to serve our present need. But bear in mind, if we're in the blue zone, we don't need any more calming down. We're as calm as it could possibly be, and we need some alerting strategies. If we're in the yellow or red zone, we're going to need some calming strategies. And if we're in the green zone, you just need to keep doing what you need to do so that you can stay there and be ready to learn, happy and focused. So if you can see here on the chart, we've got the blue zone. It says how you might feel and what you might do to help you. And we have a similar poster in school for the children to use, because they rate themselves in the mornings and they can change it after break and after lunch, anytime really, as long as they tell the teacher before they start wandering around the classroom. They can change it to let the adults and let their peers know where they are, because this will change how people approach you. We've spoken to the children about what you would do if you're in, what we do if your friend is in the red zone. If someone is quite clearly out of control, this isn't the time for us to go and ask them, oh, what did you watch on TV last night? They don't want to talk to us. You'll be likely to get a very bad response, a very negative response, because we haven't read their emotions correctly. So we're teaching the children to read their own emotions, but also read other people's emotions so that we're able to regulate ourselves and give other people what they need, whether that be space or some support to get themselves back into the green zone. So what can you do at home? It's the big question, what you guys always want to know. You can talk to your child and use the same language from the zones of regulation to help your child understand their feelings and behaviours, as well as other people's feelings and behaviours. Since the children have done this discovery day in school, I've been using it with my son. It looks like you're in the red zone. I'm going to give you some time to calm down. I am now in the red zone because you've been a bit naughty. So I'm going to go away. I'm going to come back, and then we're going to work through this together. And that helps the children to understand how their behavior is impacting others. And it creates patterns for them. So they say, actually, every time I lose control, then the people around me begin to lose control and I don't get the help that I need. So they begin to learn that they're going to have to regulate in order to get the support that they need to get. We can use the zone tools as part of your parenting or behavior management strategy in general, in like the way I just explained, using them in general, using your children, helping your children to use the zones to regulate their own behavior and also manage their responses to other people in your household. It's important for you to make sure your child understands there is an appropriate time for every zone. Like the examples I gave before, no one is going to be upset with your child should they come to harm, should they fall over, hurt themselves, they've broken a bone and they're screaming and they're out of control. You're not going to be upset with your child for that. It's perfectly appropriate for you to be in the red zone and to lose some control or lose all control once you've broken a bone. I've never broken a bone, but I'd very much be in the red zone if I did. So that is appropriate. It's appropriate for your child to be in the blue zone when it's appropriate, when it's approaching bedtime. So there is an appropriate time for every zone, and it's important that your child knows that. It's important that they know that all emotions are acceptable, but depending on the environment and what you're being expected to do at the time, it can have a negative impact on others for you to be in an inappropriate zone for your environment. You could have the chart available for your children to see at home. I believe we can give them out. So if you do want one, again, just email, let me know, and we can send those out. So you can have the chart available for your child to see at home, and this will be useful for yourself and your child when it comes to exploring the zones and helping your child to regulate, to point out where they are, because some children aren't able to tell you. Point out where they are, and eventually they will then learn to speak to you when they are in those zones. So we're using it as a teaching tool and also using it to give them the language to all the tools to let us know how they're feeling and what they need from us. It's important to remember that self-regulation is a skill. Like everything else in life, we forget because we're old now that we had to learn it at some point. Babies are not born with self-regulation. They do need to be taught it. They use their experiences to learn when it's appropriate to do certain things. They learn how they get responses from other people. So thinking of a newborn baby, they're very much in the red zone quite often. And then when they're in the red zone, they get fed. Your newborn baby's screaming, they get fed, someone plays with them, and they learn, oh, actually, when I'm in the red zone, things like this happen. As your child gets older, that becomes less appropriate. So then they start to explore with other ways of getting your attention. They're learning as they get older to self-regulate. As we know with learning, every child is different. It takes children a different time to get to different key milestones, and self-regulation is one of them too. So if your child is struggling with self-regulation, it would be more appropriate for you to come to school and speak to me, speak to your doctor, whoever you want, to say, actually, self-regulation is something my child's really struggling with. What can I do to help? And the professionals around you will be able to help you and your family to talk about how we can help the child. Remember, it is a skill. It's not always going to be a choice for some children. Some children are going to lose it and not be able to have control of that. And we just need to work with them and teach them self-regulation and teach them the benefits of self-regulation so that they're able to keep themselves in the green zone. It is very important to remember that behavior is a communication. Behavior is always trying to tell us something. Sometimes our children behave badly and it's because they're ready for bed. They need to go to sleep. Sometimes our children are digging up and down and grinning, and that behavior is telling you they're excited, they're happy with what's going on. There is always something that behavior is trying to tell us, whether that's conscious or unconscious for the children. It's something different. Sometimes things are conscious, sometimes it's not, but behavior is always trying to tell us something, even down to crying, kicking and screaming. They're telling you, I'm not happy, I need this situation to change. You can only teach emotion regulation when you are calm and when the other person is calm. There is absolutely no point in you dragging a red zone child to the charts to say, look, you're in the red zone, you need to do this, you need to do that. They're going to need a little bit of time to regulate. There's also no point in you saying to a child, right, let's regulate, you're in the red zone, blah, 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 because you're also in the red zone. And that is an unexpected behavior for your child. Your behavior is unexpected, and unexpected behaviors make us feel uncomfortable or nervous, which will lead to some more negative behavior. So it's important for you to remember, only try to teach emotion regulation when you are in the green zone and your child is in the green zone, or your child's in the yellow zone and able to tolerate some sort of able to tolerate the support that you're giving. The child's kicking and screaming and very much out of control, you're going to have to give them some love, give them some hugs, give them some deep pressure, whatever it is, to calm them down a little bit so that they're then able to hear you and understand and listen to what you're saying. So if you need any more help, if you'd like to know some more about zones of regulation, you can email me on senko@langleyacademyprimary.org. You can call in to speak to me, but email is my preferred method because I am very busy, as you all know. But please try and email if you need any help. I will eventually get back to you, or Miss O'Neill will get back to you, or Mrs. Bonnell will get back to you, because they're also my two assistants that help very strongly with zones of regulation. The Zones of Regulation book is available on, oh, you can't see because I've got the blurry screen thing, but the Zones of Regulation curriculum is available on Amazon. You can just type it in, the book is there. It can be taught by parents, it says in the book, so if you wanted to have a go at it yourself, you can. I do have some printouts and some things that I can reproduce at school. So just if you email or call, then we can work out what would be best for you to do, what you need, and I'm more than happy to support with that. So I hope this quick whistle-stop tour through zones of regulation has been enough for you to understand what your children were talking about last week, how you can help them using the zones of regulation at home, and how we'll be helping them at school with the zones of regulation. Our aim is just the same as yours, to have happy, independent, successful children, and part of that is zones of regulation. So thanks for coming, thanks for listening, and I look forward to receiving your emails to discuss zones of regulation or provide the help for your family. Have a lovely day. Bye, everybody.